and Lockhart was blasted off his feet. He flew backwards off the stage, smashed into the wall, and slid down it to sprawl on the floor. Harry watched aghast as a long black snake shot out of it, fell heavily onto the floor between them, and raised itself ready to strike. Hey guys! I am Charlotte the Starlet. These are my girls, Angel and Glitter, and this is my little boy Seth. Today we're going to be reacting to Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling. Now, since I am a mystery/thriller writer, I don't just react, I review. And the way I do it is simple. If I like something, I add a point, starting from last video's total. And if I don't, I'll take one off. Right, let's jump in. Unfortunately, the potion was only half finished. They still needed the bicorn horn and the boomslang skin. And the only place they were going to get them was from Snape's private stores. Harry ducked swiftly down behind his cauldron, pulled one of Fred's filibuster fireworks out of his pocket, and gave it a quick prod with his wand. The firework began to fizz and sputter. Harry straightened up, took aim, and lobbed it into the air. It landed right on target in Goyle's cauldron. Goyle's cauldron exploded. People shrieked as splashes of the swelling solution hit them. A week later, Harry, Ron and Hermione were walking across the entrance hall when they saw a small knot of people gathered around the notice board, reading a piece of parchment that had just been pinned up. Seamus Finnegan and Dean Thomas beckoned them over, looking excited. "They're starting a dueling club," said Seamus. "First meeting tonight. I wouldn't mind dueling lessons. They might come in handy one of these days." "What, you reckon Slytherin's monster can duel?" said Ron, but he too read the sign with interest. "Could be useful," he said to Harry and Hermione as they went into dinner. "Shall we go?" Harry and Hermione were all for it. So, at 8 o'clock that evening, they hurried back to the Great Hall. The long dining tables had vanished, and a golden stage had appeared along one wall, lit by thousands of candles floating overhead. The ceiling was velvety black once more, and most of the school seemed to be packed beneath it, carrying their wands and looking excited. "I wonder who'll be teaching us," said Hermione, as they edged into the chattering crowd. "Someone told me Flitwick was a dueling champion when he was young. Maybe it will be him. Well, I mean, he is the charms professor." "As long as it's not," Harry began, but he ended on a groan. Gilderoy Lockhart was walking onto the stage, of course, resplendent in robes of deep plum, and accompanied by none other than Snape, wearing his usual black. Of course! Lockhart waved an arm for silence and called, "Gather round, gather round. Can everyone see me? Can you all hear me? Excellent. Now, Professor Dumbledore has granted me permission to start this little dueling club to train you all up in case you'll ever need to defend yourselves, as I myself have done on countless occasions. For full details, see my published works." Ooh. Two things. Did Professor Dumbledore start this whole thing up in response to what happened to Colin getting attacked? I think the timing is really interesting. Also, could you tell I got a little into that piece of voice acting right there? I really feel like I kind of embodied Lockhart. "Let me introduce my assistant, Professor Snape," said Lockhart, flashing a wide smile, as if he needs an intro. Honestly, of all people, Snape. Like, if anything, I would have thought it would be like the other way around. I thought like Snape would be the main teacher doing this and have Lockhart as his assistant. Like, does he seriously think he's better than Snape after spending this little time in Hogwarts, you know? He tells me he knows a tiny little bit about dueling himself and has sportingly agreed to help me with a short demonstration before we begin. Ooh, do they have like a dueling script? You know, like, did they plan this beforehand and are now acting it out in front of the students? If so, who did they script to lose this battle? Because neither Snape nor Lockhart have the maturity to lose a duel in front of the whole school pretty much. And like when they get hit with like the spells, do they have to kind of, you know, exaggerate when they get hit with it? Imagine. Like this could be a pantomime for real. Now I don't want any of you youngsters to worry. You'll still have your potions master when I'm through with him. Never fear. Wouldn't it be good if they finished each other off? Ron muttered in Harry's ear. Snape's upper lip was curling. Harry wondered why Lockhart was still smiling. If Snape had been looking at him like that, he would be running as fast as he could in the opposite direction. Lockhart and Snape turned to face each other and bowed, at least Lockhart did, with much twirling of his hands. Oh, what a drama king. Whereas Snape jerked his head irritably. Oh my god, I do like the differences in their character. I feel like that one detail says so much about them as people. Then they raised their wands like swords in front of them. As you see, we are holding our wands in the accepted combative position, Lockhart told the silent crowd. On the count of 3, we will cast our first spells. Neither of us will be aiming to kill, of course. I wouldn't bet on that, Harry murmured, watching Snape baring his teeth. 1, 2, 3. Both of them swung their wands up and over their shoulders. Snape cried, "Expelliarmus!" There was a dazzling flash of scarlet light, and Lockhart was blasted off his feet. He flew backwards off the stage, smashed into the wall, and slid down it to sprawl on the floor. What, like a literal cartoon? Malfoy and some of the other Slytherins cheered. Hermione was dancing on tiptoes. "Do you think he's alright?" she squealed through her fingers. Again, such a small detail says so much. "Who cares?" said Harry and Ron together. Lockhart was getting unsteadily to his feet. His hat had fallen off and his wavy hair was standing on end. "Well, there you have it," he said, tottering back onto the platform. "That was a disarming charm. As you see, I've lost my wand." Thank you, Miss Brown. "Yes, an excellent idea to show them that, Professor Snape. But if you don't mind my saying so, it was very obvious what you were about to do. If I had ever wanted to stop you, it would have been only too easy. However, I felt it would be instructive to let them see." Excuses, Lockhart. Snape was looking murderous. Lockhart had noticed because he said, "Enough demonstrating. I'm going to come amongst you now and put you all into pairs. Professor Snape, if you'd like to help me." Are you kidding me? Like, surely the kids are capable of putting themselves into pairs, you know? I hate teachers who are that controlling. They moved through the crowd, matching up partners. Lockhart teamed Neville with Justin Finch Fletchley, but Snape reached Harry and Ron first. "Time to split up the dream team, I think," he sneered. "Weasley, you can partner with Finnegan. Potter..." Harry moved automatically towards Hermione. "I don't think so," said Snape, smiling coldly. "Mr. Malfoy, come over here. Let's see what you make of the famous Harry Potter." And you, Miss Granger, you can partner Miss Bulstrode. Petty. And for what? Like, what did Harry do to you this time? Oh yeah, he actually stole from him. Okay. That's a good enough reason. Like, ignore me, I forgot all about that. Malfoy strutted over, smirking. Behind him walked a Slytherin girl who reminded Harry of a picture he'd seen in Holidays with Hags. She was large and square, and her heavy jaw jutted aggressively. Hermione gave her a weak smile, which she did not return. Face your partners, called Lockhart, back on the platform, and bow. Harry and Malfoy barely inclined their heads, not taking their eyes off each other. One's at the ready, shouted Lockhart. When I count to 3, cast your charms to disarm your opponent. Only to disarm them. We don't want any accidents. 1, 2, 3. Harry swung his wand over his shoulder, but Malfoy had already started on 2. Are you kidding me? His spell hit Harry so hard he felt as though he might have been hit over the head with a saucepan. Again, like a cartoon. He stumbled, but everything seemed to be working, and wasting no more time, Harry pointed his wand straight at Malfoy and shouted, "Rictum Semper!" A lot of silver light hit Malfoy in the stomach, and he doubled up, wheezing. "I said disarm only!" Lockhart shouted in alarm over the heads of the battling crowd, as Malfoy sank to his knees. What did Harry just do to him? Harry had hit him with a tickling charm, and he could barely move for laughing. Okay, thank you, Miss Rowling. Damn, she actually told me right when I asked. Harry hung back with a vague feeling it would be unsporting to bewitch Malfoy while he was on the floor, but this was a mistake. Gasping for breath, Malfoy pointed his wand at Harry's knees, choked Tarantelagra, and next second, Harry's legs had begun to jerk around out of his control in a kind of quick step. Stop! Screamed Lockhart, but Snape took charge. "Venite incantatem," he shouted. Harry's feet stopped dancing. Malfoy stopped laughing, and they were able to look up. A haze of greenish smoke was hovering over the scene. Both Neville and Justin were lying on the floor, panting. Ron was holding up an ashen-faced Seamus, apologizing for whatever his broken wand had done, but Hermione and Millicent Bulstrode were still moving. Millicent had Hermione in a headlock, and Hermione was whimpering in pain. Both their wands lay forgotten on the floor. Did she just punch Hermione up? Dear, said Lockhart, skittering through the crowd, looking at the aftermath of the duels. Up you get, Macmillan. Careful there, Miss Fawcett. Pinch it hard. It will stop bleeding in a second. Boot? I think I'd better teach you how to block unfriendly spells, said Lockhart. Unfriendly? Those were a little more than that, I would say. Unfriendly? He glanced at Snape, whose black eyes glinted, and looked away quickly. Let's have a volunteer pair. Longbottom and Finch Fletchley. How about you? A bad idea, Professor Lockhart, said Snape, gliding over like a large and malevolent bat. Longbottom causes devastation with the simplest spells. We'll be sending what's left of Finch Fletchley up to the hospital wing in a matchbox. Neville's round pink face went pinker. How about Malfoy and Potter? Said Snape with a twisted smile. Honestly, he is obsessed. Like at this point, I think he's a Drarry fan. I think he might ship Harry and Draco. God, do not get me into the world of Harry Potter ships. Because I've had some embarrassing ones. That's all I'm gonna say. When I was 13, a damn near 10 years ago. Excellent idea, said Lockhart. gesturing Harry and Malfoy into the middle of the hall as the crowd backed away to give them room. "Now, Harry," said Lockhart, "when Draco points his wand at you, you do this." He raised his own wand, attempted a complicated sort of wiggling action, and dropped it. Snape smirked as Lockhart quickly picked it up, saying, "Oops, my wand is a little overexcited." Snape moved closer to Malfoy, bent down, and whispered something in his ear. "Is he cheating? Like, is he giving little extra tips to Draco?" Malfoy smirked too. Yeah, that cannot be good. Harry looked nervously up at Lockhart and said, "Professor, could you show me how to do that blocking thing again?" "Scared?" murmured Malfoy, so that Lockhart couldn't hear him. "You wish," said Harry out of the corner of his mouth. Lockhart cuffed Harry merrily on the shoulder. "Just do what I did, Harry." "What, drop my wand?" But Lockhart wasn't listening. 3, 2, 1, go, he shouted. Malfoy raised his wand quickly and bellowed, "Serpent Sortia!" The end of his wand exploded. Harry watched aghast as a long, black snake shot out of it, fell heavily onto the floor between them, and raised itself ready to strike. There were screams as the crowd backed swiftly away, clearing the floor. "Don't move, Potter," said Snape lazily, clearly enjoying the sight of Harry standing motionless, eye to eye with the angry snake. "I'll get rid of it." "Allow me," shouted Lockhart. He brandished his wand at the snake, and there was a loud bang. The snake, instead of vanishing, flew 10 feet into the air and fell back to the floor with a loud smack. Oh no, that poor snake, man, like that must have hurt. Enraged, hissing furiously, it slithered straight towards Justin Finch Fletchley and braced itself again, fangs exposed, poised to strike. Harry wasn't sure what made him do it. He wasn't even aware of deciding to do it. All he knew was that his legs were carrying him forward as though he was on casters, and he had shouted stupidly at the snake, "Leave him!" And miraculously, inexplicably, the snake slumped to the floor, docile as a thick black garden hose, its eyes now on Harry. Harry felt the fear drain out of him. He knew the snake wouldn't attack anyone now, though how he knew it, he couldn't have explained. He looked up at Justin, grinning, expecting to see Justin looking relieved or puzzled or even grateful, but certainly not angry and scared. What the hell just happened? "What do you think you're playing at?" he shouted. And before Harry could say anything, Justin had turned and stormed out of the hall. Snape stepped forward, waved his wand, and the snake vanished in a puff of black smoke. Snape, too, was looking at Harry in an unexpected way. It was a shrewd and calculating look, and Harry didn't like it. He was also dimly aware of an ominous muttering all around the walls. Then he felt a tugging on the back of his robes. "Come on," said Ron's voice in his ear. "Move, come on." Ron steered him out of the hall, Hermione hurrying alongside them. As they went through the doors, the people on either side drew away as though they were frightened of catching something. Harry didn't have a clue what was going on, and neither Ron nor Hermione explained anything until they had dragged him all the way up to the empty Gryffindor common room. Then Ron pushed Harry into an armchair and said, "You're a parcel mouth. Why didn't you tell us?" "I'm a what?" said Harry. "A parcel mouth," said Ron. "You can talk to snakes." "I know," said Harry. "I mean, that's only the second time I've ever done it. I accidentally set a boa constrictor on my cousin Dudley at the zoo once. Long story. But it was telling me it had never seen Brazil, and I sort of set it free without meaning to. That was before I knew I was a wizard." "Yeah, that happened in the first book." A boa constrictor told you it had never seen Brazil, Ron repeated faintly. So, said Harry, I bet loads of here can do it. Oh no they can't, said Ron. It's not a very common gift, Harry. This is bad. What's bad? Said Harry, starting to feel quite angry. What's wrong with everyone? Listen, if I hadn't told that snake not to attack Justin... Oh, that's what you said to it. What do you mean? You were there. You heard me. I heard you speaking parseltongue, said Ron. Snake language. You could have been saying anything. No wonder Justin panicked. You sounded like you were egging the snake on or something. It was creepy, you know. Harry gaped at him. I spoke a different language, but I didn't realize. How can I speak a different language without knowing I can speak it? Ron shook his head. Both he and Hermione were looking as though someone had died. Harry couldn't see what was so terrible. Do you want to tell me what's wrong with stopping a dirty great snake biting Justin's head off? He said. What does it matter how I did it, as long as Justin doesn't have to join the headless hunt? It matters, says Hermione, speaking at last in a hushed voice, because being able to talk to snakes was what Salazar Slytherin was famous for. Oh, damn. That's why the symbol of Slytherin's house is a serpent. Harry's mouth fell open. Exactly, said Ron. And now the whole school's gonna think you're his great-great-great-great-grandson or something. But I'm not, said Harry, with a panic he couldn't quite explain. Aww. You'll find that hard to prove, said Hermione. He lived about 1,000 years ago. For all we know, you could be. Ooh, jeez. Damn, a lot went down in this. It was cool to see all of those spells though. Anyway, I think that's where I'm gonna leave it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give the like button and the notification bell a little kiss. And subscribe to become a Starlet. Don't forget to follow me on Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram and Patreon. I'll see you guys later. Bye!